Hello, thank you for viewing my video today. I wish to go over how that I prepare my chicken treats for my service dog Sasha here. My name is John Matthews, and I have had Sasha for now 9.5 months. She was given to me through the American Humane Pups for Patriots program. And Zoetis is the company who donated her through them to me and paid for all of her training as well as my training. Just wanted to cover that in the training that I had at the American Humane is they should prepared and had rewards for the service dogs. Now what they used was a pre-cooked cut package of chicken that cost around $5 to $6 per pound for a 1 pound package. Now I use chicken breasts that I get from different retail grocery stores that average around $1.99 a pound. So by my process, I'm able to save myself some money, but also give her the high quality treats and rewards that I wish to give her. I still do rewards because I do not know what situation is going to present itself while we're out in public or in the work environment. I work in a retail establishment where pets are allowed, and so she can be approached by other pets and other dogs, and so I want to make sure that I can very easily have something there to reward her for what she does. She works for me, and I want to make sure that I have great pay for her, and how I do that is through the use of three normal treats that I use. Number one is the chicken breast that I make. Number two is a treat roll. And then number three is I have found what her high value treat is. And I keep those in here, and I'll show you how I have that set up later in the video. So at this time, let's go to the kitchen behind the counter, and I'll be glad to show you how I prepare all of my chicken and have that ready for her. And also, and in preparing it, I'm ensuring that I get the most usage and longevity out of the treats that I am making for her. So at this time, we're going to go to the kitchen. Okay, we are in my kitchen. I know it's a small kitchen, but it works great for me. I'm a single guy, and so it definitely works great for me is how much space is there. I have two chicken breasts that I have in the refrigerator that I'm gonna prepare to cook. So on my counter, I have an empty bowl that I can put my cut pieces in, and then of course my chicken, as well as the bowl that I take the chicken out, or the tray that I take the chicken out. That's what's going to get my items off of the chicken that I don't want to give Sasha. So in the chicken, I don't want to have all this fat on here. So I cut the extra fat off. And then when you get chicken breasts, they're gonna have this little nub right here, okay? So what I do is I come and I shave off around that nub to where that I have it pretty well cleaned. But on this nub, there are some pieces of chicken that you can actually utilize. One is that one. And then this one right here. So I actually have, when they cook up, I'm gonna have 2 pieces out of that, and that's probably just gonna be 1 piece. And this won't be used, okay? Another thing that I wanna look at is right back here in this area. This one still has a little bit of bristle, and that's not something I wanna give Sasha. Remember, you know, she does so much work for me that I want to give her as best of a reward as I can, but also being economical for myself. Okay, so now I have the breast cleaned and prepared, and my next thing is that I'm gonna lay it out and kind of flatten it out. Then what I'm gonna do is cut it into strips like that. Now I'm gonna put it in the bowl, and I'll show you why I do that as we get further in the video. Okay. Always be careful with your knife anytime that you are utilizing it, especially whenever you get down to these pieces like this, and you want to cut into those and get pieces out of there. Okay, so all of that goes in there. Now I'm gonna get the second one ready. Sometimes you can get a good amount, sometimes you just can't, just because of how it is. Of course, I'm going to check the edge here. Edge here usually has that. I'm going to look underneath, see what I got here. Again, I have that was left. And I'm always careful not to take meat whenever I am cutting these things out. Now, I have some experience in meat cutting whenever I worked at a restaurant, and we hand cut our steaks. So I have a little bit of experience of doing it. We cut beef. We didn't do chicken, but I was able to easily transfer that over to what I do for Sasha. Okay, so that's going to get thrown away. I'm going to cut this up, and you can just learn to work from either side when you're cutting these strips up. Okay, and as you can see, when I'm cutting them about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. And the reason why is because when I cook them, they're actually going to reduce down, and I'll show you those in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to go over the stove, and I'm going to show you how I cook them up to make it easier for cutting it into pieces later on. Okay, just got one more piece that I'm going to cut. Now, yes, this does take a little bit of time, but you will find that what happens is when you're spending this time, you know, Sasha can tell that I'm cooking these up, and she always, you know, she loves the aroma in the house of me cooking it. So now I'm going to go over the stove, and I have a non-stick pan, And the reason why I want a non-stick pan is because when I put it in there, into the pan, I don't want it to sear at all, okay? Another thing is that whenever I put it on, is I'm gonna go just below medium so that what I'm doing is slowly cooking this, okay? So when I lay it out, I lay them as close to possible to each other so that I'm getting more in the pan at one time. This amount of chicken will do about 1.5 pans, and as you can tell, I'm getting pretty close to at the bottom of my bowl here, and I still have some room in that pan. I actually might be able to get it all in here. Okay, so when I want to make sure I leave these as flat as possible when I'm putting them in here. And the reason why I want them flat is because then it's going to make it easier for me to cut them up later. Now, if you have a lot of small pieces like this, what I do is I kind of put them in the back and around the edges so that whenever the big pieces start reducing in size, then what will happen is it makes room for the rest of the chicken, those little chicken pieces, to be cooked. The next thing I do, just a moment, I'm going to rinse my hands, but you'll get the chicken all over you. Okay? And I put a lid on it. And I let it cook, leave it for about, I'd say 8 to 10 minutes on that low heat. When you're first trying this out, you want to go ahead and see how quick it takes for it to get to that first point before you turn it over. And we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you what that is supposed to look like when you turn it. Okay, so see you in just a moment. Well, while we're waiting on the chicken to get to the right place for turning, I went ahead and cooked up some last night and have it here ready to cut up into the small pieces for the actual treat size. Now, I actually use 2 things in her treats. I want to give her some variety instead of just chicken all the time. So what I use is Happy Howie's. They have turkey, beef, and lamb flavor, and Sasha likes the lamb and the turkey, so I use those primarily. And what I do is, when I'm at this stage, is I grab a gallon size, you could use a bowl, but I like to use the gallon size storage bag, because then I can just put it all in there together. So I take this, and first of all, I'm going to cut it into a square because it's round. Now this, before you open this up, you can leave it out. Okay, as long as it's not high temperature, you can leave this in your house, regular temperature. But once you cut it, that package it has to be refrigerated. And I'll show you how I overcome that in just a moment. So I cut these into pieces like this. And if you'll notice, my pieces are not that big, and I don't want them too big. And the reason why I don't want them too big is because if I'm needing to continue to give her another treat, because we're in training, another reward, then I want to make sure that she's not there trying to chew it. I want her to, you know, have it, get it down, and be ready for the next one. Might click and for, hey, you did a great job, and then here comes your reward. So I make sure that I keep them in small pieces. Because I found that with the bigger pieces, I was actually losing some ground, because she would actually still be chewing, and then her attention would go on something else. I learned with Sasha is that she can get distracted, and so I need to be able to bring her back. Sometimes it's toy is great for her, sometimes it's not. So on this one, I'm going to cut it like this. Then I'm going to turn, basically like I'm making French fries. Okay, that's basically what I'm doing. So now I've got perfect size rewards for her. And the reason why I'm only doing a small amount of the Happy Howies compared to the amount of chicken that I do is because I want that to be something that comes up every once in a while, because I mix the chicken and I mix the Happy Howies together. So when I get to the chicken and I'm ready for the chicken, then what I do is, you see here is that it thinned it out. So it is a perfect size for, in one way, for having a reward. So what I do is I want to cut this down into a size that then becomes a perfect treat size. Also, I didn't mention this before, but if you notice, when these get cooked, I put them in the refrigerator overnight so they can get cold. One thing is that it dries it out just a little bit, and also makes it a lot easier to manipulate as far as cutting the treats, as you can see. Because I want to also, you know, of course it's a cut thing, it's a food that needs to be refrigerated, I obviously want to have it in the refrigerator. So I'm going to do one more, and I am putting the two together. So as you can see, it's a perfect size for just cutting small pieces of reward. And she, you know, loves it at this size. It's also easier for me to grab out of the pouch that I have, and easier for handling. And especially whenever I put it in the refrigerator, let it sit overnight, and get it cool before I cut it, then that actually is taking the moisture out of it, so my hands are not getting messy. You know, we're out in public, in society, we shake hands, we say hi, we do paperwork, you know, stuff like that. And so we need to have a means of making sure that our hands are staying as clean as possible. Okay, so that is my way. I have a hand towel right there on my pouch. I came up with this pouch. You know, I was given a great treat pouch and at American Humane, but I found that because I'm using refrigerated items and not wanting to, and I'm not using all the treats that I put in the pouch in the morning, I want a way to be able to preserve those treats throughout the day, and also give it another day, or at the most 2, of being used. Okay, so when I get them cut, and I cut the whole bowl, and what I do is I make sure there's air in the bag, shut the bag, and I just mix it up, okay? Obviously, so I have a small ratio of the dog treat to the chicken, okay? Then the next thing that I do, and I'm gonna real quick rinse this off. So the next thing I do is I actually take this, take the air out of it. And yeah, this can be a 3-day process, but you're only doing a small amount each day. Okay? So I get this all nice and sealed, and this goes in my freezer. Okay? And I did some up last night, and as you can see, I have frozen chicken bites. Okay? Then what I do is I got these right here from, it was actually a local retailer, and you can find these pretty easily. But they are dishwasher safe, which I really love that about it. So what I do is I will scoop out about that much. Okay? I don't want it full. And then what I'll do is I will put it in a small sandwich bag. And I'm going to do that for all of them. And I'm going to empty this bag. And the reason why I'm doing that is because then every single day or whenever I'm needing to, is then I'm able to take and just pull it straight out of here. What I do in the morning is I just put it on the calendar, let it thaw some. Sasha's quite fine with getting it as a partially thawed. And then what I do is, what I do on my treat bag, and I'm gonna come around here so you can see, is on my treat bag is I have the cup that has the chicken. Next, I have a treat, a cup, small cup, same place you can get it, and it's dishwasher safe, that has her high value items, okay? That's really high value, and if she really gets distracted, I can pull this out and I'll get her attention back. But I also make sure that I have a freezer pack with it, okay? And the reason why I do that is because I want this chicken to last me as long as possible, okay? And this is really great for, of course, I'm going out to do some training, like outside of a dog park, any type of place where that I know that I need to work with her. For her, it's the squirrels. Squirrels is her thing. So that goes in my pouch. Now, not all of the time do I have to take this. So what I did is I got a small stainless steel water bowl, and I got 2 freezer packs. And what I did is I put them in here in a circle like that, and then I kind of pressed back and forth. And then that way, whenever it froze and expanded toward the cup, it didn't want to lift the cup up, okay? And here's the reason why. It's because I put this here, put both of them in the pouch, and then it'll get there. And then you put the cup down with chicken, and when you close it up, it now becomes a cooler. And when I'm driving, when I'm in a doctor's office, whenever I'm sitting down at a desk, I don't need to be treating her all the time. But one thing that I make sure of is that if I am going into a situation where that I think I may need to be rewarding her for good behavior, what she's doing right, because there's extra distractions, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and zip it open. because I don't want the zipping to become a cue that she's actually going to get something. Okay, so let's check the chicken real quick. Okay, as you can see, it's white and it's bubbling. All the juices from it, the fat juices, have come out, and so that makes it perfect. So all you have to do is just turn it over, and if you'll notice on my chicken, I have no burning. It's all nice and white. It's very close to boiling it, but it's actually doing it in its own broth. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it turned over, because I want to make sure, especially because I'm cooking on a low temperature, that it is cooked fully, because unfortunately, I'm going to tell on myself, I have thought that it was done, and it actually wasn't done. So I cut it up, thought, hey, it's done, and then Sasha didn't feel so well because of that. So I just separated it. I'm just going to put that lid back on there and let it cook some more until it's ready. Okay, and then I'm going to take it out of there. I'm going to put it in a bowl. That bowl will go in here. I'm done for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to bring out the bowl, like I did here, and I'm going to cut up all the pieces and mix it with the dog treat that I use. Okay? Then I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm done for today. And then the next day, or whenever you're able to, but I wouldn't do more than 3 days from whenever you put it in the freezer. You want to pull that out, put it in the little storage bags, so that you can easily just pull that out as you need it. One other thing is, I'd mentioned about a high value treats, okay? And I know that for me, there were times where that I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna see if she likes this, if she likes that, that's her high value or not. So what I did is I would go and buy the bags of treats. The full bags, to see if she liked it. Well, I now have it's privately owned. It's not one of the big pet stores. It's one of the privately owned. They have a lot of vendors that come in and they leave samples for them. And they always pass those samples on to me. For instance, I've got a sample of duck treats that's dehydrated. I've got beef liver. I've got beef kidney. Okay. I know that for Sasha is that I can't give a whole bunch of those or it messes up her system. So I just do a little bit. But get a hold of the different treat manufacturers. You can go on Google and you can search it and contact me on their website and ask them to send you a few samples. I'm sure they'll be glad to do it, especially if they think that, for the possibility of you buying those treats. So that's going to be your easiest and most cost-effective way of just testing and seeing what is the high value treat. Of course, you want to have those treats whenever you're doing those times where you have to have the high value, where like in Sasha's case, there's a squirrel or another rodent that's out, so I use that to pull her back. Also, be open to toys being the high value. Sasha likes the Kong ball. She likes a ball that has a squeaker in it, but those are high value items for her. So for me just to hold on to them really gets her attention. So you'll learn just through time what's great. I do hope this video helps you and also helps you be able to reward your dog in the most healthy way for them. and also in a more cost-effective way for you as well. Thank you again for watching, and have a blessed day.
We can just stop.